Hey guys, welcome back to the Basement Breakdown. This will be my third episode of my podcast, and today we're going to be going on over another card. This is going to be another fight night. Arguably, I'd probably pay $69.99 for this rather than, some of the other pay-per-views. But yeah, I recently bought a UFC Fight Pass, so we don't have to worry about that, and we also don't have to worry about watching anything that's not happening live, so I don't have to freak out and rebuffer my stream anymore. Thank you, Dana White. I've been kind of doing this backwards most of my cards, so I've been kind of just doing the main event and then kind of going down. I think that's due to the fact that, I'm not completely fluent with every single fighter throughout the UFC roster, as there's a lot. But most of them I do know. And for this one, I'm going to be able to do a better job going this way. So I'm going to do that. Antonio Tricoli, these get canceled. And then we have the first fight, which is Modestas Bukauskas versus Rafael Striqueira. All right, I butchered both of their names. That's fine, no problem. To be fair, I don't know these guys too much. I know that Modestas is a Baltic dude. He won his last fight. He lost to Vitor Petrino before that. And then we have Rafael. He's 34. This is one of the ones where it's going to be a bit of a pick'em for me, but I think I'm going to go with Modestas just because I know more about him. And, I mean, he's got more experience, and maybe the other guys got a bit of a better record, but he hasn't fought nearly as much in the UFC, and he's also older, Rafael. Based on those factors, I'm going to go with Modestas. That's one of the ones where it's going to be able to pick them. Now, here we go. Macy Chiasson versus Ketlen Vieira. Macy Chiasson is one of my favorite female fighters, and I think that's because she has the dimensions of a man. I pick her a lot in a lot of my fights to win. Her last fight was against Mayra Bueno Silva. I unfortunately picked her a little while ago to win against Jasmine Vidicius or whatever. That was a bad pick, but I watched her the previous summer go against Macy Chiasson. That was a crazy cut by Macy Chiasson. I really like her. She's so long, she's so big, and she's very technical. And because of those things, she has a huge advantage over the other women she fights. She's always bigger than them. Ketlen Vieira. Yeah, I honestly think that Ketlen Vieira is going to get worked by Macy Chiasson. Her last fight was against Kayla Harrison, who's also a man. So, which is why I picked her. She had her way with her. I think that Macy Chiasson is going to keep the distance. I don't think Ketlen Vieira is going to be able to take her down because Macy's got good takedown defense. I just think it's going to be, I think Macy Chiasson is going to be too much for Ketlen Vieira, and she's going to outstrike her and probably win a decision. And she could very well get her out of there, but I think I'm going to go with a 29-28 decision from Macy. That's just kind of what my intuition's telling me. But we'll see. The next fight, we got Ibo Aslan versus Ion Cutleba. I like Ion. You'd think he's a lot older because of how many losses he has, but he's been in the UFC for a while. He used to be kind of one of those dudes who was a bit of a prospect, but he just had some bad losses, man. I actually bet on him his last fight, which he won, and he was an underdog. I didn't even really look at the odds or anything. I just kind of went for it. Yeah, it's tough with him because he loses a lot of fights and he gets knocked out. He will throw his gas tank and then throw caution into the wind. God. I mean, I think a smart person would probably go with Ibo Aslan just because it makes more sense. So I'm probably going to have to go with Ibo Aslan. I mean, I just don't see it. So yeah, we'll go with Ibo. Yeah, so that's the prelims, and then we get to the main card. We got Steve Garcia versus Edson Barbosa. That's a sick fight, honestly. Steve Garcia's last win was against Kyle Nelson, I watched, which was a pretty cool knockout. And then he won against Choi Sung-woo, which was a good knockout. These were both in the first round, which both I watched those fights. And we got Edson Barbosa. We all love Edson Barbosa if you've been watching UFC for a while. I mean, you know this guy. He's fought the who's who of his division, and, to be fair, he's 39 years of age, but, he's still a good fighter. I mean, he's had some decent wins his last well, I guess decent. He beat Sadiq Youssef in 2023 by decision. Then he beats Billy Quarantillo, who got fucking knocked out by Cub Swanson recently. Those are decent wins. Then in 2024, he loses a decision to Lerone Murphy, where I remember watching that fight where he gets pretty fucking worked. But yeah, he wasn't like insanely damaged. He took a while to come back. Yeah, man, Steve Garcia is one of those guys who's going to beat him. I don't really see Edson Barbosa winning this fight. I mean, the guy's just like, he's 7 years younger and he has better wins over the same period of time as Edson Barbosa. I mean, Kyle Nelson, Choi Sung-woo, maybe they're not necessarily better, but they're a lot more recent, and I just trust him more to get the job done. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Steve Garcia over Edson Barbosa. I think it's a safer bet, personally. So now we move up the card. All right. Yeah, so Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kuniev. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Curtis Blades for this fight. I believe this guy, Rizvan's first fight in the UFC is versus Curtis Blades. So like, I don't know too much about him. Was he on I think he was on the Contender Series or something. He's from Dagestan. I know that. Yeah, he is. Ronel Ferreira. So he fought in the PFL against Renan Ferreira, the guy who fought Francis Ngannou, is pretty big. Yeah, and he lost. I mean, like, yeah, this is a fight for Curtis Blades that they're giving to him because he lost his last fight, and they need to get him back on the win path. And what better way to do it against a Dagestan fighter? He hasn't fought in the UFC. I'm going with Curtis Blades. Next fight, yeah, this one got canceled. I mentioned this, the Rob Font versus Dominic Cruz. He's got like double shoulder, just like two surgeries. Like he released a statement where he said he's out and he can't do it. He's one of the GOATs of his division, the Dominator. Dude, he's had some crazy fights with the TJ Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt, where he loses the title. Yeah, man. Dominic Cruz is one of the GOATs, and I really wanted to see him fight, but he's not fighting Rob Font. Jose Aldo should have been that matchup, and I said that the previous episodes, but till the day I die, that'll be a fight that we're never going to get to see that we should have. So moving up the card, I'm not sure if they're going to fill that spot. Yeah, Gene Silva is fighting Melsik Bahagdasaran. I butchered that. I'm going with Gene Silva. I'm really not going to spend too much time on this because, yeah, I mean, Gene Silva's a dog. He's one of those guys, man. And like this guy's just had what? He's had 3 wins in the UFC and 1 loss. But those have been, I mean, he competed in 2021 twice, and then he competed in 2023 twice, where he lost 1-1, 2024. He had 3 canceled bouts, and now he's fighting Gene Silva. Gene Silva's going to fucking work him because Gene Silva's gross, and this is not the guy that he's going to lose to. He's a much better fighter all around, and I think he's probably going to either knock him out or it's going to be a clear decision. Next, we got Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. Hope you guys like my cape. Brendan Allen, his last fight versus Imavov. I think I briefly spoke about that one of the episodes earlier. I wasn't one of the people who thought Brendan Allen was going to win. Although that probably would have given him a title shot or something close to it. Yeah, he's fighting Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez is coming off of a win, I think, versus Michel Pereira. Was that versus Michel Pereira? Yeah, it was versus Michel Pereira, which is a good win. I think, I mean, Anthony Hernandez is very good on the feet. And if the last fight is any indication, I mean, Brendan Allen has a lot to be desired on the feet. He's not complete trash, but like, I think Anthony Hernandez definitely has the striking advantage. But, I mean, Brendan Allen's very good at takedowns. Anthony Hernandez, as far as his matchups, Michel Pereira, Rome Delizia, canceled 2023, fights Edmund Shabazian, who he TKOs, who's a ground guy. Submits Marc-Andre Verrat, he's from Canada, French dude. He's kind of shit. Yeah, it's going to be a good fight, actually, but I'm going to go with Brendan Allen. I think Brendan Allen's probably going to hold him down for 2 rounds, and then probably get outstruck in one of those rounds. So maybe like a 29-28 decision for Brendan. Anthony Hernandez has got some hands, though. I believe he lost to Kevin Holland, which is one of the wins that they won't mention when they talk about Kevin Holland. I think they'll just mention Joaquin Buckley, but I know that he beat Anthony Hernandez earlier in his career. I'm going to go with Brendan Allen. I think he's going to win. So now this brings us to the main event. Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. I actually didn't think they'd make this fight, but it is in fact a good fight. Song's coming off of a loss versus Petr Yan, I believe. That was a great fight. I bet on Petr Yan to win that fight. I believe Song Yadong outstrikes him the first round, and then Peter takes the last 2. Yeah, Henry Cejudo's last 2 fights were against the champion Merab and then the former champion Aljamain. That Aljamain fight was close, but he definitely didn't win it. And then there's the Merab fight where he wins the first round because he stuns him at one point, and then he just proceeds to get, taken against the cage and taken down the next 2 rounds. I mean, I think like there's a 10-year age difference between Song Yadong and Henry Cejudo. I just think that Henry Cejudo, because of his wrestling pedigree, he's an Olympic champion. I think he's probably just going to use his wrestling to overpower Song Yadong. And Song Yadong is like doesn't have bad takedown defense. His jiu-jitsu's okay. But like, I don't know, like realistically speaking, I think Henry Cejudo will probably edge the rounds out with takedowns and just kind of just holding him against the cage and just kind of controlling him. Because Song Yadong definitely has a striking advantage over Henry Cejudo, and he's a lot younger and faster. So I'm not saying that Song can't win. I just think that my intuition probably says that Henry has a better chance of doing that. With that being said, I think Henry Cejudo is probably going to win. I don't think that it's going to end in a knockout or a submission necessarily. I think it'll probably go to a decision where Henry Cejudo wins a clear decision, maybe by like 2 rounds or something, like I don't know. I think Henry Cejudo is going to win. And I think that's going to be by decision. That's my predictions for the UFC Fight Night, Cejudo versus Song Yadong. I'm interested to know if you guys, have any ideas as to what's going to happen, if you guys have any different beliefs, and I love to hear that in the comments, what you guys think. And yeah, that's just my breakdown for this card. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I can't wait to get back to this again. I think the card that we got next is, I'm going to take a little time to probably take a little time off to kind of look at some stuff, because a couple of these events have been canceled. Like, as I said, Brandon Royvalis, Manal Kape is the main event for the next card that got canceled. So we'll wait a bit, see if they, make some adjustments and move people around, and then we'll get back to you with some news. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's been a pretty crazy last couple weeks for sports. And, MMA has been really fun too. There's been a lot of stuff, Conor McGregor is always in the news. He's always in the news. He spit on a guy, so I'm pretty sure he could sue him. And, yeah, he's being an idiot. I don't think he'll ever come back and fight. But, yeah, lots of MMA news, At this card, Alex Pereira was sitting with Israel Adesanya, which is great. Izzy has a new YouTube channel, which he's had up for a while, where he reviews his fight, and he reviewed his fight versus Imavov with Michael Venom Page right after he lost. Like, it took him 4 days to post the video, and he was so cool, calm, and collected about it. It was really nice to see. He also wants to fight again, so I really think that fight versus Strickland makes sense. I don't think you want to put that on an below like a Dricus versus Khamzat, because I think like that. I don't think people want to watch the 2 guys who lost to Dricus fight in the co-main event. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Or maybe you do Sean versus Robert Whittaker. There's a lot of matchups you can do, but the next fight we're going to see is going to be Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat, and then I think he's going to fight Imavov, because that's what he says. Then he wants to go up and fight Alex Pereira, or maybe Alex will come down. Who knows? But Dricus is a big dude, and he could 100% make 205, so I like that he wants to clean out his division before he goes up and do that. I think that speaks a lot to him as a champion, and I think that's kind of why that I think he's going to grow in a fan base, and I can't deny how much I like him now. He's a champion, and he's fighting the who's who of his division, and he doesn't want to move on until he's done that. What more can you ask for from a guy? Welcome to the Basement Breakdown. this will be an updated episode. We've got a lot of canceled bouts. Unfortunately, I was looking forward to a lot of these. Alonzo Menfield will be stepping in to fight Julius Walker. Edson Barbosa and Steve Garcia will be stepping out, as well as Curtis Blaze versus Rizvan Kuniev, the guy who hasn't fought in the UFC. All right, I think Alonzo Menfield's going to beat this guy. Julius Walker, he's a little younger than him, but, you know, I've seen Alonzo Menfield fight a lot. I think he's going to TKO him. All right. Yeah, not a lot of this card has really stayed intact, guys. What else we got? Andre Fili versus Melquizo Costa. Melquizo won his last fight by submission, I believe. And Andre Fili's Andre Fili. I was actually pretty upset about that Cub Swanson decision. I thought Cub won that fight. It was a close fight. I'm going to go with Andre Fili. Yeah. Moving forward, we got Adam Fugit versus Billy Ray Goff. There's a bit of an age difference between these two. I'm going to go with Billy Ray Goff. This is a welterweight bout. Yeah, I have seen Adam Fugit fight a couple times. Yeah, I'm going to go with Billy Ray Goff. I think he's going to get it done. Nursultan Ruzabayev fought Joaquin Buckley his last fight. And he lost that. Before that, I believe he won. And this fight against Eric McConaughey is a fight that, you know, they're just throwing together, and this is going to give Nursultan Ruzabayev a win, which is great. He's going to win this fight. How? I think it's going to be either a decision or probably a TKO. I think a lot of these guys, they're just thrown into the card. I mean, like, how can you really drug test some of these guys so quickly? But I mean, they're also just like the caliber of these fighters are just, you know, they're probably not the caliber of the guys who they're being put against. Also, a lot of these guys have like the like generic profile photo when you get Facebook. It's just nothing. So anyways, yeah, Ricky Simon versus Javid Bashard. I'm not going to bet on Ricky Simon. We're going to go with Javid. Mansour Abdel Malik versus Nick Klein. I'm going to go with Mansour. And yeah, we have the Caitlin Vieira versus Macy Chasson fight, which got canceled, which really sucked because I was looking forward to that. Yeah, guys, a lot of changes to this card. Should still be a fun night. And yeah, hope you guys are having a great week.